They say some roads don't take you anywhere. They don't lead to towns or homes or destinations. They lead inward, into dark places not just in the world, but in yourself. Hollow Road, buried deep in the forests of rural Oregon, is one of them. It's not listed on any map. You won't find it on Google, and GPS goes dead before you're halfway near. There are no mile markers, no posted warnings, just a narrow gap between trees off an old service road, barely wider than a car. Locals won't talk about it. Some pretend it doesn't exist. Others say it swallowed people whole. Still they go. Thrill seekers, urban explorers, ghost hunters, and some never come back. Eli and Jordan were part of that crowd, chasing views and legends for their small but growing YouTube channel. Haunted mines, cryptid trails, cursed motels. They'd done them all. Hollow Road was supposed to be their big episode, the one that would go viral. They followed an anonymous tip posted on an obscure paranormal forum. A man claimed his brother had vanished there in 1992. His truck was found deep in the woods, engine still warm, driver's door open, drag marks in the dirt, and nothing else. No footprints, no signs of life, no exit. They laughed it off at first, but by the time they turned off the main highway and into the woods, a tension set in, the kind that crawls up your spine without warning. The entrance to Hollow Road was easy to miss. Just a break in the tree line and a faint dirt trail curling through dense fir trees. They drove in. Within seconds, the light changed. The sun vanished behind a thick ceiling of branches. Everything dimmed. The radio cut out. Even their own voices seemed muffled. No birds, no wind, just the soft hum of tires on dirt and the occasional crunch of dry leaves. The road narrowed quickly. It twisted unnaturally, not like it followed terrain, but like it followed something else. The deeper they went, the older it felt. Trees leaned toward the road as if listening. Moss dripped from branches like old blood. The smell of rot thickened. 10 minutes in, they passed a strange object nailed to a tree, a cracked mirror. It was filthy, but their reflection stared back, and then something else did too. A third figure, tall, narrow, featureless, stood just behind them in the glass. When they turned, nothing was there. A little further, they found a rusted road sign, half buried in moss. No distance, no destination. Just one word, barely legible. Wait. Jordan's camera glitched. Eli's phone went from 82% to dead. Every step forward felt wrong, like the road wasn't being traveled. It was remembering you, watching you. Then came the bridge. Wooden, sagging, stretched over a dry creek bed. On the railings hung dozens of old shoes, all children's sizes. No sign of recent activity, no footprints, just silence. The shoes swayed slightly, though there was no breeze. They crossed it. On the other side was a clearing, too perfect, like it had been carved out by something that didn't belong. In the middle stood a small gray house, dilapidated but intact, crooked shutters, a door barely ajar, windows smeared black like eyes swollen shut. Eli stepped forward. Jordan hesitated. The house looked wrong, not haunted, hungry. From the open doorway they heard something, not words, not growls, breathing, wet, raspy, desperate, as if something inside had never learned how to do it properly. Then a sharp cry, not human, not animal. A sound like a scream forced through static. The forest recoiled. Even the trees seemed to lean back. Jordan turned to run, but the road had vanished. No path, no bridge. Only trees, and they were closer now, surrounding, waiting. She turned back. Eli was gone. The house door hung wide. No sound, no breath. She ran blindly, through brush, thorns, and mud. Her shoes came off. Her feet bled. But something pulled the trees apart for her, as if it wanted her to leave, as if someone had to tell the story. Jordan was found 2 days later on the shoulder of Highway 46, barefoot, covered in scratches, her eyes wide, her lips cracked, repeating one word again and again under her breath, even as paramedics lifted her into the ambulance. Wait, wait, wait. Some houses breathe, they say others listen, and a few, the worst ones, speak back. The Holloway family moved into their Kentucky fixer-upper in the fall of 2019, a quiet, aging home in a peaceful, rural neighborhood, the kind with long drives, tall trees, and too many secrets buried beneath rotting floorboards. The house was cheap, too cheap. But that's how curses get sold, under market value. It started small, just the usual creaks, pipes groaning at night, floorboards shifting like footsteps just a room away. It was easy to blame the age of the house. That's what they told themselves. Every whisper, every cold draft, every flickering light, all normal, all explainable. Until the voices began. They came from the crawlspace. It ran beneath the entire house, a tight, dark chamber barely 3 feet tall. It wasn't accessible from the outside, just a rusted vent behind the kitchen wall and a square access door in the hallway closet. Dust-covered, nailed shut, until it wasn't. One night, around 3:14 a.m., the vent cover fell. No wind, no vibration. Just popped off and clattered onto the tile floor like something had pushed from the inside. That same night, the voices came. Whispers layered on top of each other. Male, female, old, young, none distinct, all speaking at once. And yet none of them truly human, like a radio station halfway between worlds. The sound of thoughts clawing for form. At first, the family thought it was a prank. A speaker in the crawl space? Maybe someone had hidden something weird in there. But no tech explained what they heard. The voices weren't consistent. They didn't loop. They responded. The house became colder. The hallway light refused to stay on. Sometimes the entire power would flicker exactly at 3:14 a.m., never earlier, never later. The family stopped sleeping through the night. Something beneath them stirred when they lay down. They hired a plumber to inspect the crawlspace. He lasted 10 minutes before he scrambled out, pale and shaking. Said he saw a woman crawling in the dark, no skin, just glistening red muscle. When they went to check, she was gone. No one ever came back for repairs again. Within weeks, the house began to feel smaller, like it was closing in. Door frames tilted, ceilings dipped. Cracks crawled up from the floor like veins. The voices grew louder. Now they were calling names. Not the names of the living, but names no one in the house had spoken. Sometimes the whispers repeated things the family had only thought. One evening, the youngest child stood staring at the hallway closet, just staring. When asked why, he said, "They asked me to open the door." He didn't say who, just that they promised to show him where the other children went. They nailed it shut. That night, the family slept in the living room together. Around 3:14 a.m., the television turned on by itself, showing only static. The static formed faces, dozens of them, twisting, screaming, stretching across the screen like they were pressed against glass. And then came the knock. From beneath the floor, it didn't stop, not for hours. A slow, deliberate knocking, like someone crawling on hands and knees, slapping the boards from below. It circled the room. It knew they were all awake, and then it whispered, right below them, "We're not in the crawlspace. We are the crawlspace." The family fled before sunrise. They didn't take anything. Not clothes, not photos, just their car keys, and the fear burned into their bones. By morning, the house was listed for sale online. The description: charming vintage home with hidden potential. 6 months later, a new family moved in. They renovated the walls, replaced floors, repainted the trim, but they never touched the crawlspace. The vent behind the kitchen was still rusted shut, until one night, just after 3:14 a.m., it popped open. Some fires burn to give light. Others burn because something refuses to leave. In the heart of an old coastal town in Maine stood a house known to locals as Ashmore Cottage. It looked innocent from the outside. White siding, blue shutters, a red brick chimney leaning just slightly to the right. But inside, time didn't flow correctly. It paused, it listened, and sometimes it remembered. The house had stood empty for nearly 40 years. Neighbors said it was cursed. Children were told never to knock on its doors, never to peer through its windows, especially at night, when a faint flicker of flame could be seen moving from room to room, even though no one lived there. The candle had always been there. One single white taper candle, standing on an iron plate atop the fireplace mantel. It never burned down. No wax dripped. It simply glowed, small, steady, and completely untouched by time. People tried to put it out. Contractors, paranormal investigators, even priests. But every time it was snuffed, it relit. No spark, no sound. Just a flicker, as if it had never stopped burning at all. In 1987, a team from a local university set out to document the candle's behavior. Cameras were installed. A team rotated in 24-hour shifts. At precisely 3:03 a.m., every night for 7 nights, the candle would flare just slightly, and the temperature in the room would drop to freezing. On the final night, one of the grad students left his shift early. He was later found outside in the backyard barefoot, muttering, "It doesn't want to be alone." After that, the house was sealed. Decades passed, until the Watson family moved in. They were from out of state, had never heard the rumors. The price was low, the location ideal. They planned to restore the house, to turn it into a bed and breakfast. But on the very first night, they saw the flame, faint but alive. They assumed it was a prank, maybe a neighbor's trick. But when they tried to touch the candle, even with a glove, the air around it grew hot. The glove blackened. No flame touched it, just heat, dense and ancient, like the breath of something older than the room itself. Strange things began happening. Footsteps on the stairs when no one was upstairs. Soft crying heard from empty rooms. Shadows that didn't belong to anyone in the house. and always the flicker of the candle following them silently from room to room. They tried to move it. The plate wouldn't budge. They tried to blow it out. It stayed. They called in help. Every time someone attempted to interfere, something pushed back. Light bulbs shattered. Mirrors cracked. One electrician swore he saw a figure standing behind him in the reflection, but there was no one else in the room. One night, during a heavy storm, the power went out. The family gathered in the living room, lit other candles, and waited it out. But as lightning flashed, they noticed something odd. Their candles flickered with the wind, but the mantel candle stood still, unmoving, undisturbed, like it wasn't reacting to the world, because it wasn't part of it anymore. Then the whispering began. Voices, faint and layered like memories bleeding through the walls. The words weren't clear, but the feeling was. Sadness, regret, longing. Something had been left behind. Something was waiting. At exactly 3:03 a.m., the candle flared bright. The flame stretched higher than ever before, nearly a foot. And in that glow, shadows danced on the walls. Not human shadows, too thin, too tall. They didn't move with the candlelight. They moved on their own, reaching toward the ceiling, then crawling back down. The family fled that night. By morning, the house was empty once again, but the candle remained, still standing, still burning. Local legend now says that the flame is not a light, it's a prison, that the spirit within is not evil, but lost, that every time someone enters the house, it sees a chance to be remembered, to be freed. But the truth is worse, because the candle doesn't want to go out. It wants company.